giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. We on Facebook. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Coming up, man. Couple days away from the very first preseason games, and I got my eyes on some things. I have a watch list. That's right. The list has returned. I got 4 things that I want to focus on, and underneath those 4 things will be players, will be coaches, will be a bunch of different things we'll talk about. So we're going to bring in our guy, Pat No-C Walker, as well for our weekly scientific method. So class will be in session at the top of the hour. So I need y'all to get y'all pens ready, get y'all lists ready, get everything you need to get some of this science from our guy, Patrick No-C Walker of DallasCowboys.com. He'll give us some injury updates and what they got planned for today. I'd imagine they're not going to go too crazy today at practice. Yes, they return to padded practices as they ramp up to return down here in Dallas. There will be a preseason game at AT&T Stadium, Jacksonville Jaguars. And we're going to, I want to say preview it, but we want to talk about some of the guys we're looking forward to seeing, some of the things we're looking forward to seeing. And of course, I want to do that with you as well. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. And we'll jump into the roundup, which is pretty easy, simple today. And I want to get to the first half of my list. So at the top of the hour, Pat will be joining us. So we're going to get right into this thing, Cowboys Nation. And out of that, we'll talk to Pat. But before any of that, my manners, man.
Bomb Squad!
Appreciate you, Mississippi Cowboy. Hope everything is all good and well in Mississippi now. It's funny because, Vach has a chair now behind him. I used to have my chair in the cut. It was a WrestleMania chair. Part of me wanted to grab that and do a little bit with it, but I'm like, nah, man. I don't want to beat a dead horse while it's going. So we'll leave that. We'll leave that to the rest of the Twitter sphere, man. All right, look, we got the pleasantries out the way. We got to get down to business because we got to talk to our inside guy.
Now that we've said hello, let's get down to business.
Let's do it. Oh, you're right. It was Alabama.
It's time. It's time. It's time. It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah. So Tony Pollard returns to practice yesterday. Contrary to popular belief, he was not there 2 days ago. I'm not going to get into all of that. But Cowboys are having a lot of players having some children, and he had a kid. And so he left practice and went and attended to that. Of course he would. But there was a big whoop yesterday about a specific person saying that, they saw him out there. That's neither here nor there. He was not at practice a few days ago, but he's okay. It has nothing to do with his physical abilities. He's recovered. I don't know if y'all been seeing the footage down there, the training camp lives, the videos that are coming out. TP is back. Like he never left. Which, we've talked to the docs here on this channel. We've listened to some doctors. We've read about his recovery, and it's always been, hey, they're ahead of schedule. I know a lot of people were worried, but TP looks great out there. Same thing with Terrence Steele. Many people are like, man, I don't know, might be rushing him back. But he's telling you, and people, the doctors, and everyone is saying, hey, he's ahead of schedule. He's fine here. And both of these guys are out there looking fantastic. So they probably won't play on Saturday, but we'll get to a few of those who will, including some of these guys from our guy Mauricio Rodriguez article, a host of A to Z Sports Primetime, by the way. Today's article spotlight is Mo's article, and it features 3 undrafted free agents. Okay. And the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about this, because it'll kind of transition into preseason watch list, honestly. I mean, these guys are guys we're going to be keeping an eye on. And the 3 guys he talked about, and the title of the article essentially is 3 undrafted free agents that can make the roster with a strong preseason. Yes, number 1, Hunter Lipke. We talked about Hunter Lipke a lot coming into camp. I haven't talked about him while we've been here. So I'll admit, I put a lot of high hopes and pressure on Hunter Lipke and to possibly get that fullback role, but they've been using Sean McEwen, and that was the guy I thought he was going to be fighting with. Sean McEwen, Princeton fan, Hunter Lipke. I thought that was the role they'd be fighting for. And right now, it's McEwen. I mean, unless something happens, if I had to guess, I think Sean McEwen is the guy to take that role. But look, this is a chance for Hunter Lipke to go out there and make a statement. Now, I think what he has going for him, and this is going to sound contradictory, but I think what he has going for him is that the league doesn't really value fullbacks. So even if he has a strong preseason, they could probably still cut him. He'll make it through waivers, and they can put him on a practice squad to call up if they need him. You know, and at this point in time, 8-10 before a preseason game, that seems like the route that they're going to go if they decide to carry forward backs. It doesn't include him, but that's a long ways to go before the roster gymnastics get there. The second guy, or one of the other guys on his in his article, was Isaiah Land. Isaiah Land came in with a lot of fanfare. He was one of the most popular undrafted guys. For me, I thought the number 1 undrafted guy was Jalen Moreno-Cropper, but Isaiah Land, dubbed the Sack King on YouTube, who I think he led the nation in sacks a couple seasons ago. Isaiah Land kind of transitioned to linebacker, doing some defensive end things, kind of a tweener type of guy because of his size, but he's another dude we're going to keep our eyes on, and we'll talk a little bit more about later in the show. But he's one that they say, well, I say they, Mo says, if they have a strong preseason, can make the roster. That's going to be tough. You're going to make a tough decision on Isaiah Land. He would have to go nuclear because there's just guys right now that you probably can count on more than him because he's a young guy. He's a rookie. There's players that are proven in this league in front of him. So that'll be really interesting. And then his final one is a guy that's gained a ton of steam over the last week, and that's John Stevens Jr., the wide receiver that transitioned to tight end. We've talked about him a number of times over the last few days. And if we're talking about spotlight, if we're talking about watch list individual, he's definitely up there for me. He's made a lot of exciting plays down there at camp. I want to see how he can do it against some of the opposing teams when the bullets are flying. So those are his 3 guys. He's got Lipke, he's got Land, and he's got John Stevens Jr. He says if they have a strong preseason, they could make the roster. Lipke, I think that would be, you wouldn't have to do so many roster gymnastics. Land and Stevens Jr., there will be guys that you cut probably that you'll go, oh, snap. Yeah, I think so. And that takes me right into the watch list. Bomb Squad. If you want to call in, you can. But again, we're going to be talking to Pat at the top of the hour. So you might want to wait about 9:15-ish to give us a call. We got Pat for about 15 minutes, so we're going to try to get as much as we can. But that gets me into the watch list. And I want to take as much time as I can here on the first part of my watch list. So let's just get straight into it. And if you see your name on here,
You just made the list.
You made the list. Notice, though, there is no names. That's why I said 4 things, because there's going to be a ton of names we talk about underneath this. Number 1, the depth wide receivers and more production. And here's why I just put depth wide receivers. I want to see them all. Again, same thing with the running backs. We'll get to that in a second. I want to see them all. I made this point a few times this week, whether it be on this show or Vacha's show. and I made this point actually months ago when it came to the quarterbacks. I said with this scheme change, obviously the receivers are going to be able to play faster and I think better, more confidently. We're seeing that at camp. We're seeing things this year with young receivers, whether it be rookies or year two guys, that we weren't seeing last year at camp because the system is easier to grasp for them and for these quarterbacks. So if the quarterbacks are able to get them to rock this preseason, which I think they should be, I know the offensive line situation is not ideal, but the scheme should allow them to get them to rock a little bit easier this year. Let me just tell you how terrible it was last year in regard to these wide receivers. It was so hard to get a grasp of what these dudes could do. Here is how these young receivers did last year. Jalen Tolbert in the preseason, 3 games, 6 receptions, 44 yards. By the way, y'all, that was the most yards in the preseason for these young receivers. Simi Fehoko, 5 receptions, 37 yards. Now, Simi had the 2 touchdowns of the preseason. He had the 2 goal line touchdowns, red zone touchdowns. So, those matter. But I want to see between the 20s as well, and we just didn't see it. 5 receptions, 37 yards. KaVontae Turpin, 3 receptions, 20 yards. Dennis Houston, the one who was, oh my God, everybody's telling me Dennis Houston's great. I'm like, I don't see it down there, but I'm glad the young man was able to make the roster and he's back here fighting again. Dennis Houston, the preseason camp star. He had 2 receptions for 16 yards in preseason last year. Dontario Drummond, 3 receptions, 38 yards. Cowboys Nation, this isn't one game. This is the entire preseason. The entire preseason, fam. So I'm looking for more production out of him. Well, you can say, well, Sky is preseason. You just got to take what you can get. Sure. Fair. But how can I get a grasp of what these young guys can do if we can't get them to rock? And whether that be the offense, they weren't picking it up last year, combined with the offensive line, combined with the quarterbacks. And then we've all agreed, like, it's tough to really get a grasp on these receivers and get production. But I do think we might be able to see a little bit more this year because of the scheme change. And because we're pretty tunnel vision with the Cowboys, I get that concern over the last few years. But when I look around the league, fam, there are receivers who get 44 yards in a reception. There are receivers who, young receivers who break out in the preseason. They may not be stars, but I am looking for a couple of these type of games. I just am. I'm looking for somebody to go Victor Cruz in the preseason at least one time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Victor Cruz rookie year in the preseason. I believe he wore number 2 or number 3. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on these young ones. And what I did love to hear, right, is that KaVontae Turpin is going to be getting more opportunities as a wide receiver in preseason to show if he can handle it. So there will be no returning for KaVontae Turpin, according to Mike McCarthy. All about, let me see how what you're doing out here in training camp translates on the field, because they clearly want to get him involved, but he has to be able to grasp. He has to be able to take that year 2 leap, as McCarthy said. So far, so good out there on the field. I want to see if Tolbert continues his strong offseason. He's had a strong one. He is. You heard him talk. If you didn't see the interview, we could talk about it tomorrow maybe. But KaVontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert is clearly more confident. You can hear it in his speech and you can see it out there on the field. He looks like he belongs now. And then you got Jalen Brooks, who honestly, of all these dudes, I'm watching them all. But I definitely want to see this young cat because he, over the last week, since camp has started, everyone that's been down there said he's been very consistent. You see it. You see the hands. You see how strong he is. He's going to play special teams. He's a big body guy, so I don't think he'll have a problem with the blocking. And he shows up in a route running situation. I'm not saying he's a route running guy to route you up all crazy, but he can get enough to get open and create separation and use his length. So I want to see him translate that into preseason. So I know the running back stable, and we'll get to that here in a second, is probably the most popular thing to think about. But the wide receivers, man, I really truly do believe that the wide receivers could be the unit that has some of the biggest plays out there. Before we get to Pat here in a second, let me get to the second one here, and that's running back stable. Who shows the versatility? There is a chance they might carry all 4 of these dudes. There's a chance they might just carry 3. But I do know one thing for sure. Whoever is on this roster behind Tony Pollard is going to have to be versatile, whether that be as a offensive weapon, a runner, receiver, blocker, or whether that be as an offensive weapon and a special teams guy. Special teams is always one of those things where you can tell in the preseason who kind of has that leg up. And all these guys have let me say this. The top 2 guys behind KaVontae Turpin have special teams experience, right? You've got Malik Davis, who played 175 snaps last year on special teams. And then Rico Dowdle cut his teeth in this league on special teams. In 2020, he had 198 snaps. Last year, he had 92 before he got hurt. 92 special team snaps and only played 5 games. So he was going to clear that 175 from Malik. So who is playing special teams? Who provides versatility? And then you got Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is returning some of these kicks, catching punt returns and whatnot. And we know that Turpin is not going to be out there returning. So can Deuce pull a KaVontae Turpin from last year, right? Can Deuce do that? So not only do I want to see them be able to run, I think all these guys can run well, but I want to see the blocking. I want to see them be able to catch out the backfield. Who is showing out on special teams? That's going to matter if they're only going to roll with 3. And then obviously you got Hunter Lipke. It's been a quiet camp, but he has a chance to make some noise in preseason. So that's the first half of my watch list. We'll get to my second half after we talk to my guy, Patrick No-C Walker of DallasCowboys.com. So let's get into it, Cowboys Nation. No second kick deal when I'm dropping science. I'm dropping science. What's good, brother man? I'm dropping science.
My boy, how goes it?
Man, I am having a blast here talking to my boys, and I'm finally talking to my Cowboys Nation, I should say, because there's gals. And we finally get to catch up with you after a week, man. There's a lot going on down there at camp.
Yeah, and I was listening to you, and it's funny that you talk about special teams and the running back equation, because I spoke about that yesterday on Cowboys Break for those viewers and listeners that catch that podcast, and you should, because why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
What are you? So I was speaking of, Derek Eagleton, he asked me, he said, so how does your running back lineup look right now? What's the depth chart for me? So I'm like, okay, of course you got Tony Pollard, but then I'm like, well, given the circumstances with Ronald Jones with the suspension and now the groin injury, he's missing time, give me Rico Dowdle at RB2. And you and I have had that discussion offline.
Yes.
So then behind him, it became, for me, Malik versus Ronald Jones, and then Deuce. I got Deuce making the roster. And then some people would say, well, wait a minute, you're carrying 4. I am carrying 4, but I'm not counting Deuce as a running back per se, but that's a conversation for another day. But the ultimate thing for me is the special teams equation. We know Rico Dowdle plays special teams. We know Malik Davis plays special teams. We know that Deuce Vaughn is getting reps as punt protector, and he's going to get some reps as a returner in preseason because they want Turpin to kind of pull back from that and get some offensive reps. So the question is, how effective or ineffective will Ronald Jones be on special teams? And in that conversation, in the John Bones Fossil conversation, Rojo seems to be kind of the odd man out. So good conversation that I was just listening to, and I was like, Steele's on it, as always.
Come on, man. You know we got to stay on top of it, because if we don't.
I'm knowing.
They try to press us. So before we get into a few things I want to hear from you that you're looking to watch for on Saturday, are there any injury updates that we need to be made aware of heading into practice today?
Well, first and foremost, let's just go ahead and say that Luke Schoonmaker is really starting to come on. He was activated from NFI on Monday, obviously, but on that day he stuck mostly and exclusively, I should say, to individual drills, and they didn't release him to formally practice with the team because they wanted to kind of feel things out with that plantar fasciitis. But the next padded practice, he was in fact doing team drills. So that's fantastic. But he also, in doing so, he got his first touchdown of NFL training camp, which was phenomenal. Standing ovation for the young man. He's working his way in. But what was more impressive than that to me was 2 plays later on a bad ball from Cooper Rush, right side of the end zone, back pylon. He couldn't reach it, but he completely went horizontal. Like he just threw his body weight at it, to try to make that play. And anybody who knows football and you knows receivers, tight ends, when it comes to, being able to dive like that, especially because that's a big boy. That's a big boy. So to propel that mass forward, that means he has a lot of confidence in that foot. And that's definitely absolutely what you want to see there. Mozzie Smith, I know a lot of people were concerned initially about Mozzie Smith missing padded practice with what we're being told is knee tendonitis. He had a precautionary MRI done, and, people say, oh, well, Cowboys are downplaying it. Well, actually, this one they were not downplaying it, because after the news came of the precautionary MRI, I was walking and I saw Mozzie, and I caught up with him and said, hey, Mozzie, how you feeling? He's like, man, I'll be all right. Of course, I looked down, not a knee brace in sight, not a knee wrap in sight. Fast forward to yesterday, mock game walkthrough. Not only was he present, but he wasn't relegated to the sideline. He was on the field going through the mock game. So there's at least a solid chance that he takes the field on Saturday. I would not put money on that, because first-round pick, knee tendonitis, don't push it if you don't have to. But if they say he's good to go, then he's good to go. The main takeaway here is there is no concern with Mozzie Smith. And then who's my other guy? Tyler Biadasz. Tyler Biadasz left padded practice this week with what I was told was a rolled ankle. So, nothing major, because that rolled ankle didn't result in any structural damage. He actually returned to the sideline. He was testing it out. But ultimately, the Cowboys medical staff decided to shut him down for that practice. He's far too important starting center. You already have some issues with the Zach Martin situation. You're trying to figure out your interior line rotation. You don't want to lose Tyler Biadasz. He also, like Mozzie Smith, was on the field yesterday going through the drills and going through the mock game reps. So he looks good as well. There is no device on his ankle. So doesn't look like that sprain is going to be an issue for him going forward. So Cowboys have been dodging some injury bullets, for lack of a better way to put it. Donovan Wilson, he's out of his boot. Israel Mukuamu back in practice full speed. If you follow me on Twitter at Voice of the Star, you've seen I've posted some Izzy highlights, and he's out there making some plays. So all things are moving in the right direction there.
I want to pick up where you left off with Tyler Biadasz, because I'd imagine everyone is going to be watching this interior offensive line on Saturday, because it hasn't really been winning days, and it's tough. I'll be honest, it's going to be tough to win days against this defensive line, but it's clearly one of the concerning things. So, what specifically, or who specifically, are you looking for or watching on Saturday against the Jaguars? On the interior, I should say.
Well, on the interior, first of all, I'm a huge advocate of not playing starters unnecessarily in the preseason, particularly these first two preseason games. And especially now that we've shrunk down from 4 to 3, it's kind of like, why play them at all? Because you don't really have that dress rehearsal game anymore. So I want to see Matt Farniok in a game setting. He's had some uneven battles here in camp. He's won some, he's lost some, and you could say that about everyone. But for Matt Farniok, he's a guy that you need to take that leap forward this year, because you don't know what's going on with Zach Martin just yet. And even if you do know, even if Zach Martin walked in today, and I hope he does, but even if he does, you still need that interior depth secured. And Matt Farniok is the first name that's going to keep coming up when you ask these coaches and you ask the front office, well, who are you looking at for interior left guard, right guard, backup center? It's going to be Matt Farniok. Spoke with Mike McCarthy yesterday or a couple of days ago about Matt Farniok, and he said, well, some of the struggles may be due to too much flex being put on him between swinging left, right, and then getting some center reps. So they're trying to make him a little bit more exclusive to one position this past week. I want to see what that plan of action looks like going into Saturday. So my eyes are there. I'm also looking at rookie fifth-round pick Asim Richards. He hasn't popped just yet. He has the frame, has the ability, has the hands, has the feet. Maybe just needs to get his NFL speed there. No better way to do it than to put him into an NFL game. So I'm looking at Asim Richards as well from the interior line standpoint. And from there, it's kind of the usual suspects as far as wondering if they can. And in that category falls a guy like Josh Ball, right? So Josh Ball, former backup tackle for the Cowboys. They're now trying him at interior at the guard position. He's got a ton of reps at right guard. He's got some reps behind Tyler Smith at left guard. Let's see if Josh Ball can show the Cowboys that he can be of value as a backup interior lineman. So for me, those are, three guys. Obviously, throw Chuma Edoga in there as well. The Cowboys brought him in so that he could affect the game from the interior as a backup guy. He's had an up and down training camp thus far, had a strong blue-white practice. So he's starting to feel his way out a little bit. Hopefully that trend continues.
Man, when you said the name Josh Ball, the chat collectively went,
"Oh, brother, this guy stinks!"
collectively They said, no, we want to hear about Brock Hoffman, man. What's going on with Brock? That's what Brock Hoffman.
Brock, yeah, I like it. So Brock's another guy you want to definitely keep an eye on. And I can understand the Josh Ball thing, because if you look at the film, it's just not there for me, just like it's not there for y'all. So I get it. I get it 100%. Brock Hoffman looks like he's making strides, but he's still on the depth chart for me. He's still behind Matt Farniok, so he's going to have to make bigger strides if he wants to get into that immediate depth conversation. But also Alec Lindstrom. Young guy, Boston College, going into the second year. Obviously, he got some reps when Tyler Biadasz went down with the rolled ankle. So Lindstrom at center, that's another one to watch as well. So some of these young guys are absolutely going to get their opportunities on Saturday.
Well, great. Alyssa Meyer said, well, let's go. I was just about to ask you, because he was a guy a lot of us
That's
are
not
like,
interior.
That's
You
true.
said interior.
That's true. That's true. Hey, Alyssa or Mr. Myers, I did say interior. So let's go to the tackles real quick. Let's go to the tackles. Matt, well, let's go. I imagine Terrence still ain't playing. Tyron Smith, they ain't playing. But some of these backup guys, what are you thinking here?
All eyes on Willetsko for me. And I've been it's no secret that I've been high on Willetsko since last year, before he suffered the shoulder subluxation that essentially, or effectively I should say, ended his season. But he's back. Shoulder looks good. Strength looks good. Feet look good. The football IQ has never been the issue. So from the swing tackle perspective, I like what he's bringing in camp thus far as a backup guy. So keep your eye on that. Austin Richards, I can put him in both conversations, interior and on the edge, because the Cowboys have been working him as such. And obviously, coming from North Carolina, a lot of his work, most of his work was done on the outside as a tackle. Yeah. And that's kind of how he made a name for himself out there in North Carolina. So want to see him as well. So those are my top two when it comes to the edge. But I have a golden circle around Matt Willetsko, because I'm really anxious to see what he can do in the absence of Terrence Steele, in the absence of Tyron Smith, because I don't expect either of those two guys to play.
Before I flip to the defensive side, we were talking about the wide receivers prior to you joining the show, and I'm excited to see these young guys in this system in the preseason, because I think the system, combined with Cooper Rush being a veteran and having a strong camp, we should be able to see more production out of this group than we've seen over the last few years. Is my feeling right on that, or do you think there might still be some struggles like we've seen specifically last season, where no receiver had more than 44 yards, it felt like, in the entire preseason when it comes to the depth guys?
Well, I think the depth, I'm not even going to say I think. I believe the depth chart at wide receiver looks massively improved over last year. And I'm not just talking about, the addition of Brandon Cooks and, the likely bounce back of Michael Gallup. I'm talking about WR4 down. WR4 down, well, first of all, you didn't really have a definitive WR3 last year, which kind of goes to my point as far as the depth being massively improved. Jalen Tolbert looks like he's really coming on strong. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not trying to make you drink any Kool-Aid, because I don't drink Kool-Aid of this nature. I do, when my mama make it, I got to drink it, because, that's red, that's grape, how that goes. But when it comes to the Cowboys and sports, I just shoot it straight. So I'm telling you what I'm seeing from Jalen Tolbert. This is not gas. This young man looks like he's back at South Alabama. He's playing confident football. He's not thinking. His moves look fluid. His routes look good. He's aggressive attacking the ball. He's aggressive coming off of his releases with the press coverage. He just looks more
like he belongs.
Swaggy. So yes, like he belongs. He believes it, and because it's true. So now the only thing was he needed to believe it. It looks as if he's believing it now, and I hope that translates over to the games, but we will see, because that's another name to watch as early as this Saturday. But when you talk about the Jalen Tolbert conversation in 2023, you're talking about him being a front runner for WR4. But then you gotta mention Kevontae Turpin. From what I'm seeing from Turpin out here, he is making waves offensively, even when he's not targeted. So when he's targeted, he's bringing the ball down. I've seen him high point and get the ball over bigger taller, longer defenders, but then I'm also seeing how destructive he is in space. And the defensive backs, the nickel backs, they're really having a hard time containing him in space. It seems like he gets open at will. And I will compare his ability to get open in space to a guy like Cole Beasley, which I don't think is an incorrect comp when you look at the size, the quickness, the ability to plant and go and get into his breaks and get out of his breaks. That is what he reminds me of from the slot perspective. But he can also go downfield as well. So you got Jalen Tolbert, looks like he's coming on strong. Let's hope he translates it over. You got Kevontae Turpin, who we know can translate it over, just needs a chance with the play calling and the playbook, okay? From there, now you start looking at these young guys. I know Simi Fehoko has had an up-and-down camp, more ups than downs, but still up and down. Jalen Brooks, though, not many downs, okay? The rookie 7th-round pick. He's stacking good days, day after day after day. Jalen Moreno-Cropper. God, we got a lot of Jalen's like we have a lot of Tylers, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Moreno-Cropper, the undrafted rookie. He's come in and he's made some waves. Cooled down a bit as of late, but I wonder if that's in direct correlation with Jalen Brooks making waves. So that competition right there is good, hot and heavy. So I say all of that still to say this: the wide receiver depth looks much improved over 2022, and for my money, that means that when Cooper Rush and then ultimately Will Grier get in these preseason games with this particular group we're describing, Tolbert and Turpin and Fehoko and Brooks and Moreno-Cropper, and then, hey, let's not forget John Stevens Jr. I don't know if you categorize him as a tight end or a wide receiver.
Put him at the
I know
tight end.
he's big enough to be a tight end. He's big enough to be a tight end, but he has lined up as wide receiver as well because he has the hands and the ability to do that. So Cooper Rush and Will Grier have plenty of targets effective this Saturday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it should be a much more successful pass game when that second and third group is in.
I want to tap in so bad to this Cole Beasley Turpin thing, but I know you're tough on time right now.
Yep,
but
we got to wrap. You like that cliffhanger?
Oh my God, I didn't have the courage to say it in my head when I watched it.
I got to give you the cliffhanger with the Seth Rollins.
Oh my God, man! Hey, do you got time to talk about Demo, or we want to save this for next week?
We'll save it for next week, but I will say this because I got to get over to this hit for
105
for 105.3 FM The Fan in about 5 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to grab a pen, run this back to jot these names down. I mentioned a few of these players that you should keep an eye on. Keep an eye on everybody. Also, keep in mind that this is not win or lose. This is evaluation time for the Cowboys, and it should be for you as well. So don't tweet any of us about scores. We don't care. So Kevontae Turpin, Jabril Cox, absolutely. Jalen Brooks, John Stevens Jr. mentioned him. Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell. Keep an eye on these young safeties, especially Wanye. He's been making plays in camp practice. And Eric Scott Jr., the one that I named as the steal of the draft, the potential steal of the draft, he is also getting his hands dirty out here. So looking forward to him in the preseason as well. So keep an eye on everyone, but most certainly draw circles around those guys. And ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, let's just watch the game for what it is. It's evaluation to find out who deserves to make the roster toward the end of this month. Don't watch it for wins or losses. We don't care about that.
Oh, no, man. I'm still upset. I want to talk to you more, man. But that's science. That's science, man. That's guy. That's the science guy, Pat No-C Walker, giving us the science as usual, brother. Appreciate you, man. Much love, and we'll talk to you next week, man.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys later. Yeah.
God damn. That's the only thing about, during the off season or during training camp, we can't get Pat as long as we want, but I promise you, during the season, we'll have Pat much longer. In fact, we'll actually be recording episodes, so that'll be fun. But great stuff. Again, biased probably, but Pat puts in so much work, and it's quality. You know how hard that is to have 17 different hats, and it's quality. There was so many good things in that. And again, I always go back and watch or listen to what he said when he joins us here on The Scientific Method. But before we move on to the second half of my list, I want to go back to that Beasley thing. So take a quick little break, get your drink in. If you wrote down some notes, go ahead, put it in your computer, put it in your phone, and come on back if you want to get into the phone lines. Now you can at 351-999-3787.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions.
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
Shout out to y'all for joining me this morning. Salute. Y'all are fantastic in there. I do see the hashtag Ask Pat questions. Trust me, I do. But we can't do it during camp right now. During the season, totally different story. During camp, we just can't do it. He's pressed for time. But I am still I don't want to say stuck, but when he brought up Cole Beasley, I promise y'all about Turpin, when I saw him doing those whip routes against Kelvin Joseph and doing some of the underneath things, the motion and just the quick speed outs or quick outs, I'm just in my head, I didn't have the confidence to say it yet because I'm like, just give me a preseason game before I say this, Turp. But I was like, man, that looked like Cole Beasley, and it reminded me of last year when he first got, the first day, I think it was, when Turpin got here and he was doing like drills. He was doing these things with his feet, these quick. I'm like, man, his feet are crazy. But then that never translated from a receiver standpoint. Obviously, we found out, he couldn't pick up the playbook, et cetera, et cetera. And not only him, but a lot of young guys. And I saw somebody in the chat say, hey, man, Cole Beasley is perfect for this offense and for Dak or whomever. But not just a Cole Beasley, but a slot like that, like a slot. How many times have I said that? Cole Beasley, Randall Cobb have produced mightily in this system under Dak Prescott. A slot receiver is always, and anybody, really, let's be honest. If you are a quality slot receiver that can get open right now and create mismatches because of your quickness, quarterbacks are going to love that, and they'll get it to you because I know, you're going to beat this third corner. You're going to beat this safety. You're going to beat this linebacker if I get the matchup. So, and I'm not saying that Turp is going to, evolve into an every down slot, right? He still will probably only get maybe 20 snaps at most. Like last year, he was getting 3. No, none, sometimes 6. But if you can get him out there 15 snaps or so, yeah, I think you can get him a couple receptions underneath. And the beauty with him, no offense to Cole, because Cole was one of the best slots in the game at the time. I'll die on that hill, is that he can take one of those 5 yards, one of those 7 yards, and go 50. So hearing him bring up Cole Beasley really got me going, man. Yeah, exactly, Special K. The feet. Now, you got to have the hands. Cole had them hands, boy. You got to have them hands. And when you're playing slot, sometimes that thing's going to come hot because you're right off the line of scrimmage for the most part, more than anybody else is. So you got to have them hands. And we know that, Dak has improved his power over the years. So I'm definitely going to be watching that aspect of Kevontae Turpin in preseason. How can he work in that slot? All right, before I get to the second half, my guy L. Gene did call in, man. What's on your mind, L. Gene? Good morning.
What's going on, Scott? How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed to see another day. I was listening to you and Box yesterday, and one of the callers came in and said Kellen Moore.
Do me a favor, bro.
Made it.
Yeah. God, speak
Yes,
up
sir.
a little bit. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Kellen Moore made it harder for his playmakers, but easier for the quarterback. That was crazy.
Yeah. So what he said was, because he said, how can you say you're making it easier for your quarterback if it's harder for your playmakers? That's what the caller said, and I was like, damn, that's heavy.
That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem with this whole season right now is it's going to hinge on our offensive line.
Yeah.
And I just pray that the arrogance of this front office about Josh Ball and Walesko doesn't come back and bite them, man. You know what I mean? We had a chance to address it in free agency. You had a chance to address it in the draft, and you chose a tight end in the second round, which I think that was I like Schoolmaker, and who knows what he turns out to be. But if you, I watched Boss's show, and it was either Gelkin or I forgot who said that if John Stevens Jr. had Schoonmaker on the back of his jersey, the internet be going crazy because of the plays he's making. Like, you can find these guys, you know what I mean? And it's just, man, I pray and I hope to God that Zach Martin comes back and that these offensive linemen can develop.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, L. Salute.
All right.
Yeah, the Schoonmaker thing, we're all rooting for him, but again, I ain't gonna sit here and lie to y'all. I still would have preferred offensive line. I just would have. But here's to Luke Schoonmaker getting healthier. Here's to him getting out there, if not this week, next week, and getting acclimated, and hopefully at the very damn least turning into a quality tight end 2, at the very best, your future at tight end 1. But it's right now it's a little bit behind 8 ball. We'll see what happens here. He got a chance. And I know Pat said, he was talking about how big that was the first thing I noticed when he got out to rookie minicamp and we started seeing the pictures of him in the jersey. I said, we sure that's not a defensive tackle or defensive end? I mean, and look, they're all labeled at 6'5", 250, but he looks legitimately 6'5", 270 because he's just so country strong, country swole. I don't know. Dude is huge. So I'm hoping, with that strength, it can provide something in year 1 at the very least from a blocking department, and he can give you some Gavin Escobar, rest in peace. Gavin Escobar or Martellus Bennett. We'll use them both. If you guys remember Gavin Escobar and Martellus Bennett early in their careers here in Dallas, they didn't give you tight end 1 production. They didn't give you down in, down out production. But what they did was, or at least Martellus Bennett in this department, he blocked his ass off and he caught you about 4 touchdowns in the red zone. Gavin Escobar wasn't a blocker, but he got you some touchdowns in the red zone. So if year 1 is a Jake Ferguson year 1 for Schoonmaker, a lot of people will be highly disappointed because he's a 2nd round pick. But again, I've been saying it forever, man. Tight ends, if they're not going to be the feature of your offense, it takes some damn time. Like, it's going to take time, and which is why I didn't want to take one in the 2nd round. But spilt milk and crying over it, rooting for a Schoonmaker to make something happen, man. All right, let's get to the second half of my list. Cornerback depth. Loud noises. The hell does that mean, Scott? The reason why I said loud noises, obviously I have quiet ones at the bottom, but I want to talk about the loud noises, is because there are cornerbacks who are having camps out there that aren't quiet, right? That are making noises. We've been talking about this on Vach's show. You got the Nashawn Wrights, who, yeah, he might get beat sometimes, but he's making plays too. He's having a solid camp. Again, he had a solid camp last year. Eric Scott Jr. We know about the noises Eric Scott's making. He looking like cornerback 4 right now with Jay Lou out of there. Deron Bland also battling, and the difference between this year and last year with Deron Bland, I think you're seeing it, is that this wide receiver room is way tougher, and this is what you want. You want him to go up against the quality of these wide receivers, because when he goes out there against other teams, it may not be his quality, but he's battling these guys too. So I want to see other guys, the Josh Butlers, Miles Brooks, Kelvin Joseph. Make some noise. Be loud on Saturday. It doesn't have to be interceptions, but that helps, right? It could be big tackles. One of the best games that Deron Bland had in preseason last year had nothing to do with picking off the ball. It was how physical he was making tackles, coming down. The Denver Broncos game, physical with the wide receivers, PBUs. You can make loud noises in that sense. And that's what we need to see from Kelvin. Not what we want, what we need to see. And it's a great opportunity for him to do it, because what'll likely happen here, I'd imagine Kelvin, and see, this is something I wonder if they're going to ask Coach McCarthy, because now I'm thinking about it. Deron Bland, they'll probably go Nashawn Wright, Eric Scott on the outside with Deron Bland on the inside. So Kelvin Joseph's still going to get a ton of opportunity, right? But Kelvin Joseph is that first man up. So he's going to be out there against some of the top quarterbacks, the backup quarterbacks, not the 3rd and 4th string guys. But when you are out there with the 3rd and 4th string guys, make some plays. Make some noise. So I'm definitely watching this cornerback depth, seeing if a guy like Eric Scott can carry over the momentum, and see if a guy like Kelvin Joseph can make some noise. And then I got the quiet ones. The quiet ones. Sometimes they say, hey, man, you got to watch out for those quiet ones. We'll see in camp, I don't like quiet. In camp, I need you to make some type of... I don't care if the noise was, hey, dog, Viliami Fehoko, after the whistle blew, he just dumped Terrence Steele. He just lifted Matt Walesko. Brock Hoffman was trying to fight him because I ain't heard nothing. He ain't been out of practice. He been practicing. I ain't seen nothing. So I want to see a guy like Viliami Fehoko make some noise as well. Speaking of loud noises, Isaiah Land, right? I want to see, Sack King, let's do it. This is what I said when we got Isaiah Land, Daryl Johnson, and Tyrus Wheat. I said, man, we've got 3 guys. There used to be like one dude. Remember Mike Kafka, I think was his name. And I could be saying that wrong. Probably not totally wrong. There was another dude a few years ago. It was like one undrafted pass rusher. We're like, hey, got a check. This year, there's 3 undrafted pass rushers that I'm excited to see in preseason. Isaiah Land, Darrell Johnson, Tyrus Wheat. They're fairly quiet. Let's make some noise. Let's get loud out there. TJ Bass. TJ Bass is not necessarily quiet because we've been asking questions about TJ Bass, so people have been talking. But I want to see TJ Bass dump somebody, right? Because we need to get some confidence on this interior. If I did a poll, and y'all phony if you're lying to me. If I did a poll that said, are you confident in the interior line depth? That poll should be 100% no, 0% yes. But I'm fair. I do this all the time. If you are one of those who are confident in the offense, that's the defensive line, I meant offense line. In the offensive line interior depth, please let me know why. And I would love to hear it out. Maybe it'll give me some confidence because I am not confident. So I want to see a TJ Bass, Brock Hoffman, Awesome Richards. I want to see these guys move dudes, lift these dudes, and also obviously not go out there and play for themselves, but play on a string with their offensive linemen, right? So TJ, Brock, Awesome, whoever it is that's in on the interior, Edoga, who look like he ain't gonna make his team. I want to see you make some damn noise. My bad on the defensive line. I meant offensive line. Offensive line interior depth probably should be 0% yes, 100% no. Then you got guys like Devin Harper. Devin Harper here and there. I've seen some things. I've heard some things, but not enough to where he loud. It's still very quiet. Same thing with Brillo. Brillo started off not necessarily loud, but you could hear some faint noises in the background and things have kind of quieted down. But to be fair to the linebackers, you can't do much. You can't hit. All you can do is if you see it go and then let up. So those ones have asterisk next to them. I get it. And what we saw last year was guys like Devin Harper, guys like Jefferson. They kind of made some plays in the preseason. And then when Brillo came back against the Seahawks, he was making some plays. So this is the time for the linebacker depth. We know what Clark, we know, and he might, I don't know if he'll play or not, we'll see. But we know about Clark, we know about LVE, we know about Micah, we know about these guys. Let's see these depth guys get loud. So those are my 4 things, Cowboys Nation. Give me some of the things you're looking for. Players, or it can be coaches, it can be whatever. I do have a bonus one. 2 of them. I have the quarterbacks because, again, when we look at the receivers, I said I want to see more production. That means I'm going to need to see better play from the quarterbacks. The preseason play hadn't been great from the quarterbacks, but I think when you put in context, offensive line scheme was not great, especially with not great players. Right? If you don't got a great scheme, then backups aren't going to help you. So I want to see these quarterbacks connect with these receivers because that's going to be important. And then maybe the most underrated aspect here, Brandon Aubrey. You up, sir. You up. There's no competition. You're doing all the kickoffs from quarter 1 to quarter 4. I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but I hope you are. And if you miss, let it be 58. Let it be 59. Let it be 55, 54. Let it be in the 50s, mid to late 50s. I don't want you missing from 50 or 51 because we're going to be kicking those sometimes. So Brandon Aubrey is definitely maybe the most underrated thing that we're all going to be watching out there. How are the kickoffs looking? The kickoff rule. How will Bones play into that? That's what I love about Bones Fossil is he takes his job extremely seriously and he'll use everything in his toolbox. So will he be doing hey, we're going to do hang time at the 5 and make them call a fair catch or decide if they want to bring it out? That'll be fun to watch. But Brandon Aubrey, how's he kicking it off? And obviously, how is he kicking? So those are some of the bonus ones right there. Nah, not Friday, Jay. Tomorrow, though, we'll do a mailbag. It's been a long time, but we got a couple weeks under our belts from not preseason training camp. So we'll do a mailbag tomorrow. All right, we got a couple callers. Let's get to Chris from Alaska. What's good, Chris?
Yeah, what's up, Skywalker? I just had one question. When it comes to this preseason and us looking at Cooper Rush and Will Greer kind of fighting it out for who's going to be his second string, obviously Cooper Rush won it last year. But let's say Will Greer does win the second string job. Do you think he brings a different element to his game compared to Cooper Rush?
Yeah, I don't think they're the same players.
Running ability.
Yeah, I don't think they're the same. Yeah, I think Cooper Rush. Will Greer is more mobile. I think he has a livelier arm, but all that's fine and dandy. But I say this all the time. Can you put it together between the ears? And that's what Cooper Rush has. Like Cooper Rush might not have the liveliest arm or what have you, but he's been around longer. He's got more experience, and I personally don't think there is a quarterback 2 competition. I think it's Cooper Rush's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. It's just good to talk about because you never know. Like maybe they want to see what Will Greer has. I mean, maybe still keeping Cooper Rush there.
They're going to see
what they have.
They're going to see what he has because he's going to play a lot.
I wouldn't mind him. Let's say Dak went down. Knock on wood. Like I hope he doesn't, but like I wouldn't mind seeing what Will Greer can do if Cooper Rush were to struggle. If he were to have to come in, especially with him being more mobile, especially with the offensive line.
I mean,
kind of a question mark when it comes to whether Zach Martin should be coming back, hopefully, but if not, that could be a big question mark and stuff like that. So also having a guy that can move more mobily can really help out if he had to come in, if you know what I mean.
Sure. But Cooper Rush is 5-1 as a starter in the National Football League, bro. Like Cooper Rush
You're right.
He's played with
I don't know,
and I'm not saying he was fantastic. He's far from that, but I mean, he's proven that, look, man, I'll hold down the fort enough and just let the defense do the damn thing until our guy gets back. So I don't think there's a competition. I think what Will Greer is out there doing right now is saying, hey, I want to force y'all to carry 3, or I want to force you to bring me back to the practice squad so I can be your third quarterback every week that doesn't count against the roster. I just don't know how you can look at what Cooper Rush did over the last 2 years and be like, he's in competition with Will Greer. Last year, maybe. This year, no.
Yeah, I have another question. How many receivers do you think we're going to have, 6 or 7, in your opinion? Or do you think there's probably another position that we need to have more guys on? Maybe, I don't know, all O-line, maybe you want to carry an extra O-lineman or something like that.
6. I think 6 because, again, draft pedigree matters to this team, so – And salute to Jalen Brooks because not only being drafted, but he's earned it. Now, again, we got to go out of the preseason, but he's earned it.
Yeah,
so we got. Yeah, go ahead.
Semi would have to ball out like way better than Brooks to get that 6th spot, but we'll have to see. He did get a touchdown last year, but you never know.
Yep. I appreciate you, Chris.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Salute. Let's get to 202. What's good, 202?
What's up, Scott? Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear. I'm going to turn you down, though, but I got you loud and clear.
How you doing, bro? You're kind of low, but I just want to thank you for bringing me on. My name is INC, and just thank you for the show. I've been listening to you for a couple of years now. Can you hear me, bro?
I got you. Can you hear me, though?
Yeah, you're kind of like in the background, but I can hear you clearly now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you. You guys I go back and listen to you guys way back, and I truly appreciate the time you guys put in to get us content. A lot of the Cowboys fans, we work and we don't have the ability to peruse the internet and get all this information. So thank you to you, Voch, and everybody else. But I was going to say, KJ, to answer your question, KJ, it appears she's a gamer. His practice, I don't think his practicing abilities have been the best. And if you remember the San Francisco game, he made a couple of plays. Maybe one of the two plays, didn't even a loss, but he had like one or two plays on the special team. So hopefully we'll get some things from him in the preseason. If not, I think it's the end of the road for him because the young guns are really stepping up. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I just spiked my volume. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, bro. When y'all said y'all couldn't hear me, I want to hear and turn my volume way up. So give me a second. I'm going to have to speak like it's ASMR because I don't want to. All right, there we go. Check. You got me loud and clear now?
Got you loud and clear. You got me loud and clear?
I got you. I don't want to be faint to y'all. So I had a hard time. I heard you say, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Kelvin Joseph is a gamer?
Yeah, it appears he's because a lot of times his practice reports come out and he's not doing well. He's getting burnt. He's getting smoked. But during games, he appears to. I know you're late in the season, especially in San Francisco. He made like one or two plays in the playoff game. I think it was special teams.
He forced a fumble in on special teams. But I don't care about him on special teams. He's a second round pick. I need him to show me something from a cornerback. So are you saying he's a gamer on special teams, or are you saying he's a gamer at the cornerback position where he was drafted to play?
Well, as far as being a cornerback drafted to play, no. He hasn't shown anything that he's a gamer in that position. But as far as special teams, I think he's shown some things there. And, it's a reclamation project. We're trying to get anything out of a second-round pick. And it's par for the course with the Cowboys. Second-round picks have been, making all kinds of crazy picks. So, Anyway, just another thing, too, I was looking for in the preseason is definitely Turpin. I actually think Turpin has a chance based on the way the offense is run to actually take that number 3 spot from Gallup because I was also like, I was kind of hesitant to looking at the Cole Beasley type position, but that's the way it appears as far as the practice reports and the way the offense is running, that he's going to have that kind of Cole Beasley type role in the offense. And as far as Cooper Rush,
he can only play slot, right? Like he's never going to be an X or a Z like that. So I mean, you're definitely going to have the slot role, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, if he goes on the outside, his speed will help him on the outside if he does go on the outside. But yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You said something about Cooper Rush?
Yeah. So Cooper Rush, I think he's at a point too where he needs to stop pushing Dak. I mean, he had a great 5-1 season, and for those of us, Dak's at a point now where he has to get us to the championship game. And if not, then the noble progression is that you need a backup who can stop really pushing him and make him, I know the coach is going to hold him accountable, not turning the ball over. But when you have a guy who's pushing you on the bench, who can come and take your position and lead the team, I think that should also help him lock in a little bit more because he was trying to do too much last year with the wide receiver core he had. And as far as Cooper Rush, I hope he can take that next step. And Will Gray hasn't done anything.
What's the next step you're looking for from Rush? I thought he took the next step last year, but what's the next step you're looking for?
Well, next step is, natural progression is if Dak goes down, he does what Dak does, like holds on to the job.
Good luck with that. He's not Dak Prescott ability.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's just not there for Cooper Rush, just physically. But what are you looking for him to do this year to take the next step as a backup quarterback?
Well, that's the only thing he can do now because he was out in the market and 32 teams passed him until the Cowboys brought him back. So the next step for him to do is maybe push Dak to the point where by next season teams can look at him as a viable starter. But that's the only thing he can do as far as this season.
Hey, bro, that was his shot. Last year, bro, you go 4-1. You go 4-1. And I know, and this is exactly why I said there's context there. But if you go 4-1, you had the game on the road against Philly, which is the bad game. That was your shot to hit the open market and get looked at as a starting quarterback. But everybody passed on him as a starting quarterback. So the next step would be you're hoping that, not you, but Dak is not available for the entire season essentially, and then Cooper Rush goes in there and becomes Jake Delhomme or something, right? Where he just goes berserk. Cowboys go to the Super Bowl, and now it's like, hey, I'm a starting quarterback. Come get me. That just seems like we're living in la la land.
Yeah. Well, I mean that would be a signature of a Super Bowl team. So we hope that happens because remember Dak is the same thing.
I don't hope that Dak Prescott goes down and gets hurt because
No. I don't hope Dak goes down. I just hope Cooper Rush takes that next step. That's what I mean. I don't hope Dak goes down at all. I hope he plays all games. I hope he plays every game at a high level.
Yeah.
But yeah. But the next question was I kind of lost my train of thought there. But the next question you had was about the DBs and was it the DBs or something like that?
I didn't bring up the DBs. We talked about them though. The young bucks, the depth. Yeah. But I didn't bring it up on the phone. O-line. Okay, O-line. All right.
Yeah, the O-line. Yeah. So yeah, I think the O-line, we just got to trust the process. McCarthy has done a good job of the last two. We've had musical chairs there for the past 2 years. So we just got to trust that McCarthy will do the same thing. He had Jason Peters last year. He had a bum, Tyron Smith. And somehow we still dragged this team to a 12-5 record. The year prior to that, too, we had, was Connor still there? Connor was Miami?
Yeah, both Connors. Connor McGovern, Connor Williams, yeah.
We had, who we had, the dude from, went to the Bengals,
Lyle, yeah.
Lyle. So he's shown that he can adjust on the O-line. So we just got to, if there's any silver lining in that problem, is just McCarthy has shown that his roster manager, especially in the O-line area, has been fairly effective. So, but thanks for the call, but I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate the call. We'll talk about some of this. Thanks, man. Good stuff.
Thanks, bro. Mm-hmm.
I'll say this, and that's one thing I give McCarthy credit for, is that from a team management standpoint, when he's dealt with injuries, again, 12-5, playoff victory on the road. So, he's adapted to that, and he did it in Green Bay. But when you dive into the context, especially on the offensive line, I mean, we saw what happened on the O-line in 2020. It was a disaster. It absolutely derailed the offense for the most part, but they managed to squeak out 6 victories. In 2022, because 2021, I thought the line was fine. I thought the line was fine enough until it got banged up with Tyron Smith. When Tyron got hurt, he looked and played hurt, right? But I thought they had way better depth. I mean, you're talking about Connor McGovern was the backup at the time. I know people don't like Ty Nsekhe, but I take Ty Nsekhe that year over what the hell we got right now, right? There was quality depth on that offensive line. And then last year, in 2022, I think you brought up Lyle Collins. We had Lyle Collins as well. I mean, shoot, we had a line. It just got banged up, and then when those guys came back, it was still better than this depth, in my opinion. So this will be, in my opinion, his toughest challenge from a depth standpoint, because you don't have Connor McGovern to fall back on. You ain't got Lyle Collins to fall back on. You ain't got, Terrence Steele was a backup to start 2021. You don't got that to fall back on. So this would definitely be telling. And honestly, I agree on one part of that argument, that McCarthy has shown the ability to adapt from a team standpoint. But we saw what happened last year when your line got hurt. What happened to the run game? What happened to the pass protection, which was already not that great, to the run blocking? It definitely affected the team. And I don't even know if it gave them confidence once you got to the playoffs, right? Because you couldn't run the ball, and it wasn't just against the Niners. Well, one player couldn't run the ball in the other game, but you couldn't really run the ball or have a threat to run the ball because you couldn't block it right. So when you break it all down, it's a concern if he has to dig into his bag of Brock Hoffman and Josh Ball. That's a concern, bro. That's a concern. All right, so a lot of these numbers I'm not familiar with. So here we go. Let's get 347. What it do?
My guy, Young Jedi, what's good? It's been a long time. Missed you, brother.
Damn, it's been a grip. How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been watching you and Voch. Y'all doing a tremendous, wonderful job over the volume. You're doing your thing at ANZ. You're doing your thing. I'm always tuned in. Not able to call all the time, but right. I have to shout out. Because it's been a minute, longer than a New York minute. One thing, and I'm going to hold you long, but I'm just, in terms of one of the callers was talking about Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is good. He did this thing last year, 5-1, like you said. He was ample as a good backup I want him to stay the backup. I don't want Dak nowhere. We rest Dak when we need to rest Dak. Dak playing, doing his thing. I know he's going to have a tremendous year because everybody's on him about these interceptions, about the 12 games, 15 interceptions. Dak is going to do his thing. We got weapons. We got Micah, defense, everything we have built. We are going to put the NFL on notice. If they don't know now, they haven't seen, they're going to see it this year. Hopefully we jump over that hurdle and get past the 49ers because, everybody's talking about Purdy and the 49ers. They didn't show me anything. They went on a streak, but they didn't show me nothing like where, you know what, we wound up killing ourselves.
Yeah.
And, I just wanted to show Sky, keep up the good work, keep up doing your thing, keep grinding, staying up, and keeping all of us up on Cowboy content.
Got you, bro.
Do your thing.
Got you.
I saw in the comments that someone said you got a up-and-coming potential podcast. I'm gonna be looking for you to do that. Keep it up, brother. I'm watching.
All right, salute. Appreciate you. I think he's talking about the wrestling pod. I got 3 weeks for that. Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, man. Look, I said this the other day when we were reviewing the room. I saw somewhere where the Cowboys quarterback room in general was ranked really low. And I get it, right? Like Cooper Rush and Will Grier, these aren't sexy names. These aren't first round picks. These aren't guys that have, this isn't Teddy Bridgewater, first round pick or whatever, went to the playoffs, started. I get it. But I mean, I think there should be a little bit more respect to the room, at least the top two, at least, Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush, because Dak is Dak. You got top 10 quarterbacks, so that helps. And then Cooper Rush, he's come in going 5-1 as a starter. So I don't get how that room doesn't get the respect. So, yeah, I mean, he's a quality backup. I don't think any team is looking at Cooper Rush as a starter. He would have to go nuclear, and I'm gonna keep using that from a production standpoint to be looked at that. And he didn't even go firecracker as a starter last year, So, but he did his job as a bus driver, game manager to get these victories. But counting on him to be a starter, nah. That's why somebody in the chat said, and I think he was just saying what somebody else said, that Cooper Rush is competition. I'm like, guys, I thought we figured this thing out. I thought we figured this thing out here. That's not no. But let's be happy we have a guy that has come in over the last few years and has been able to keep this thing afloat when your top 10 guy was out. Let's be happy with that, But let's relax. What are we doing? 818. What it is, what it do? What's good, 818? Hello?
Right here.
Okay. All right. Whoa. About to get banged on. What's good, 818?
Hold on, my bad. I was going to keep it short and sweet. I think this is Kelvin Joseph's last year as a Cowboy, especially with the Cowboys going out for Stephon Gilmore. Maybe they're pursue using draft picks for players in the future. This year, I think it's going to restrict the special teams for him. I don't think he'll go past the fifth quarterback spot, honestly. Also, I think Semi Fehoko, I think this is going to be his last year as well if he even makes the team this year. Mariano Copper and Brooks are both outplaying him. He's not catching Tolbert or Turpin. And Cooper Rush, he's a backup. He game manager, limited the turnovers. He didn't turn over the ball in enemy territory.
Until he did.
Yeah, last game he did. So we'll leave that game untalked about that.
I
don't want to bring up that game. That was a messy game. But yeah, he limited turnovers in all our games that we needed him to, except the last one. And that's what a backup's supposed to. He's supposed to keep your team afloat and let the players around him play.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to be real. I honestly think if he did have to step in, I think the production would be better because, number one, you got better players around you, and I think the scheme is going to help aid as well. Again, the scheme shift, in my opinion, and the personnel elevation is going to help the entire quarterback room, not just Dak, right? So even if Coop had to step in, I still think obviously you're going to lean on your defense, but we should hopefully have a better offense than what we saw last year when he was in there.
Almost definitely. And one more thing, I know we were talking about the O-line depth and everything, but McCarthy is known for that flat option that he likes to run. That is very line friendly. It's very, I want to get the ball up quick, let my playmakers in space, let them do them. Yeah. He doesn't want to hold the ball unless it's, going deep, and if it is going deep, I remember the Packers games when McCarthy was there. It was annoying how when they were going deep, that running back or tight end was always there for a big-ass chip or running back was staying in. So they're going to bring that 6th or 7th blocker if need be. So I'm not really too worried about the line, especially if it's going to be flat options.
You're not worried about the line. So what part? Like here's the thing. No, I'm not worried about the starting line. Like if everybody's healthy, man, this is top 10 unit, right? Like this top 10. You talking about Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, he gonna play, and Terrence Steele. Nobody's worried about that, right? But if you've got to dig into your depth, that doesn't worry you a bit.
It does, but I feel like I'm not as worried as everyone else. Just in the case of, I said, McCarthy understands offenses. He knows I'm vulnerable here. I'm not going to make that more vulnerability than it already is.
Got you. I feel you. That's a good answer.
Like last year, he knew our wide receiver 2 and 3 were our vulnerabilities, but he didn't let that really chill us because he knew, okay, I have my playmakers in Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. Let's get them the ball. Let them do their work. What happened? Tony Pollard went off.
Time out. McCarthy didn't have a whole lot to say last year, and I think the opposite happened because that's why you see Noah Brown be the second lead receiver on your damn team, and Michael Gallup out there doing routes he shouldn't be doing. I think he just gave Kellen the rope and said, "Do you, brother?" And that's what he did. He did him, and now he's where he's at. But I agree that I think McCarthy would understand that, hey, 7-step drops with Zach Martin and Brock Hoffman in there for Zach, or Matt Forniak in there for Tyler Biadasz. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to try to get this ball out quick, maybe lean on the ground, and maybe scheme some things open. Yeah.
Yeah, he understands football. That's one thing that we're going to appreciate this year. He knows I have a vulnerability at my guard spot, at my center spot. I'm not going to, risk myself, sitting back there for seven steps.
Sure.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, appreciate the call. What's your area code, Sadiqa? I'm gonna unlock it. Get you in here. No. 818. You good? You done? I'm talking about Sadiqa. Sadiqa wants to give a call here, and I'll get her in here, and then I'm gonna close it back up because got to keep it moving today. Can't go into too far of overtime, so let's keep it busting. 757. What's up?
What are you waiting on?
757. I know you at AutoZone, but I need you to zone in, man. I see y'all so damn slick. I opened the line for 2 seconds. Bing, bing.
The conference has been locked.
201. Okay.
Yeah, my bad, man. My bad, man.
Getting them wheels fixed. Putting them rims on. No, I was good.
I just took the baby girl to school, so God damn it. I just put my phone down real quick.
What's good, man?
But nothing much, man. First time calling, man. Shout out to you. I've been listening to you through Votch. So I'll be watching both of y'all's little streams now at this joint. So I just wanted to call in real quick. I think, you know what, I've been becoming a bigger fan of, I think, Jerry Jones. Like, as the years have been going along, man. I don't know why. At first, I was like, man, I wish he could shut up. Just shut up. But, man, at some point, I'm just like, you know what?
he's just being honest at this point, man. You know how you talk to, like, I don't know, like my grandfather.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when he was living, he's just old and honest about every damn thing. Like we used to just go to the drive-through, and his ass talking about some, yeah, I want the same thing as last time. Like they can't see you. Like,
he telling the people at the drive-through, yeah, just give me my normal, man. Yeah, come on, dog. I just want my normal, sir. Who are you? Look. So thinking with Jerry, if you keep Jerry away from football stuff, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because I would love to have a drink with Jerry, listen to his stories, hear him blabber and speak in circles. But when it comes to football stuff, no. I want nothing to do with it.
Just like,
no.
Right, don't do it, Jerry. Don't do it. But yeah, man, I've been excited about this camp. I was telling some of one of my coworkers, he's a Cowboys fan too. And I was basically just telling, I was like, man, you gotta look at this. I said, well, we got a lot of talent, bro. It's getting to the point where I had to ask him. I said, dog, is Dorrance Armstrong still on this team? And he was like, I think he is, bro. I think he's still on the team. I said, bro, I don't know who the hell you fitting to cut on the D-line, bro. It's so deep over there, man. Like, but somebody got to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody got to go. It's just going to happen. But
who you think it'll be?
Man, I really don't know. I can't even tell you.
I saw
all of them look like it.
I was going to do this 53-man roster review for my guy John Oney, and he had who was it? Bohanna out and Neville Gallimore out, and I'm just like, man, I don't know, bro. I think I want to keep Bo, but do you carry three guys though? You know.
Right. I want Gallimore at least. Let me keep Gallimore at least. Like, I like Gallimore. I like his game personally. But Odigizua, he man, that boy is crazy. He's been good for years though. He's been good ever since he came over to the Cowboys. And Diggs, that's my guy. I think he earned the right to talk his shit, and I think Dak earned the right to take some shit talking after that, after what happened last year in that 49ers game. Because I know we ain't got to tell Dak. Like, you know what I'm saying? People harp on Dak. Dak's not a huge turnover guy, but he know he played a bad game that game. Like, we ain't got to, like,
he ain't going to run from that.
You know, right. Dak is Dak. My man was a psychology major. Like, he did psychology as a major. My boy knows what he thinking out this joint. He just know he played a bad game. Everybody got him here and there, but I think he'll bounce back this year.
Yeah,
that's another. I think he's coming back. I think he's coming back this year. Just looking at the training camp, everybody be talking about his interceptions. I'm like, dog, have y'all ever been? No. Have you ever been in a huddle on the first team and you listen to your coach in training camp? Your coach could literally be like, "Yo, just throw the ball to the defensive back." Just so they can get.
I don't think they're doing that, but I feel what you're saying. It might be, hey, I want you to target Stephon here. I get what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, like in that sense. Like we want to throw it to that fool because we got to test him out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and everybody that's nervous about this offense, don't be nervous. I listened to Law Nation.
In closing.
And they had Terrence Williams on the joint. And what they were saying, what he said, it really hit me, bro. I said, boy, if this ain't the realest statement I ever heard about Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott, when he said Kellen Moore was basically using Dak Prescott as him, using basically Dak Prescott's body, but basically putting his brain in Dak Prescott, man. I said, that's the realest thing I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
like, you know,
I actually heard somebody on 105 say it, who I don't really fool with, but I'm like, it definitely felt like Kellen was trying to live vicariously through him. Yeah, sure. But offensive coordinators, you have that's your system. That's what you want to run, and that's the problem when it becomes system over players, and when you are inexperienced, and know it all. Like, hey, this is what I do. This is going to work type thing. Sometimes you get a bit stubborn, and it just is what it is. All coordinators are stubborn in that way, honestly.
Exactly. And last thing I got to
in closing.
Man, it's just remember this is a good reason why we had to let Kellen Moore go. Just remember the last two plays that he called, his very last two plays that he called in the end of both seasons. He called a QB draw from like the 40-yard line to end the 49ers game.
Please don't.
And then the second time, his ass had Ezekiel Elliott playing center. I said, oh, my God, this motherfucker got to go. As soon as I seen that, I said, he got to go. But
yeah. Hey, man.
But that's what it is, man.
Indeed, bro. Appreciate the call. Good stuff, man. I'm going to tell you when I thought he had to go. But thank you, man. I said this the other day. For me, it was when in an important playoff game, on a big down, you sent out Seth Wilson, you sent out Noah Brown, you had CeeDee Lamb, you had Amari Cooper, and you put it in this Hawk package. And your ass did a play action and had Terrence Steele and Connor McGovern do hook routes against one of the best defenses in the league. And it was like, I'm open. That was it for me. I said, yo, this can't happen, bro. But he got brought back, and it is what it is. Let me get to a couple of these super chats because I'm gonna fire through these and roll. So we got to 10. Damn, we got a lot today. All right, appreciate y'all.
Super chat.
Tacoma John. By the way, this goes to the PC fund. I should have put that up there. When you look back at what they actually gave Dak to work with, it's amazing we had the season we did. It's crazy that we sent out there as a wide receiver group. For sure, Tacoma, but context doesn't matter. People don't care about it no more. It's still my mantra, but I'm exhausted, talking about context of the game because no one cares. So, but you're right. You throw Noah Brown, one leg, Michael Gallup, a tight end who really doesn't do anything for you after the catch, and then a coordinator who doesn't know how to use these players like that. Lucky as hell to be the number one offense like we were. And just go look at the difference when Ford came back when he wasn't there at the offense. But that's neither here nor there. Smoke One. Appreciate you, bro.
Super chat.
He dropped 5, says, Sky, I'm tired of the talk. Let's walk the walk. Get this trophy. Shut all the haters up, man. Let's go Cowboys. That sound like you got that Mozzie Smith energy right there. I'm tired of the talk, man. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, we're going to talk about it.
Super chat.
Shout out to Shaq, the Vikings fan. He dropped 20 and said, PC fun. Appreciate you, bro. Keep up all the great work. Waiting for that Sky podcast breaking down how to, is that what the caller was talking about? Breaking down how to do the sports casting from YouTube. Everyone leave that like for a fire show. Before I joined A to Z and before I joined the Volume and I had more time, I was definitely looking into working on like a workshop thing for that because we don't have like sports broadcasting for people like us. I want to do it on here. We got to learn our own. We got to learn from people we see out there, and none of this came from a workshop. This is all trial by error. So I definitely want to be able to do that, man. I think that'd be awesome because there's a lot of other people like me that want their voice to be heard, but I think there is a strategic way you have to go about it. At first, I used to be like, I'll just fire up the phone and go. And yeah, you can do that. Sure. But I do think there is steps to this to get to if you want to be bigger than that. Josh Ball's a gamer.
Super chat.
We don't wipe them 304s. Apparently Kelvin Joseph is too. Smoke dropped another one.
Super chat.
He said, this is all facts, or this is facts. Joseph turns his head. He would be better at tracking the ball and making plays, but he don't and be getting mossed a lot. You know what I mean? It seemed like he always, put it this way, he's a poor man's version of Cheeto in a way. Sometimes he get really cooked. But Cheeto used to have that, like, oh man, he right there, but it's that perfect pass. But at least Cheeto was a quality corner. We ain't nowhere near ready to say that about Kelvin Joseph. But sometimes you'll see him in the area and he just is getting got. But that's part of playing corner, man. We can't for year 3, year 4 be like, Hey, man, Kelvin Joseph so close. He just got turned his head. Like, nah, you got to make some noise, man. You got to make some noise.
Super chat.
Sadiqa dropped one and said, chat room, you all better be glad that the phones are locked. I got you in here, Sadiqa. I'm going to get to you in a second. But she said, y'all better be glad the phones are locked because I'm going to call in and go off on you all. About to see what Sadiqa talking about. And then John,
super chat.
Not Michael Phelps says, dropped 10 and said, he believes Dak's Achilles heel is the accuracy. When he misses, it's too high or behind his receivers, especially on crossing routes. This sounds like copy paste from everything we hear on the networks or within the community. And he says, especially on cross routes, is it the mechanics or is it something else? I just don't. I'm one of the ones who I don't agree that he's inaccurate. I think he's an accurate passer. I think what you have is, and I said this to one of the callers months ago, when he hits those and their routine, no one cares because, hey, it's what you're supposed to do. When it's a bad pass, we remember that because for whatever reason, as a human, those negative things stick with you more. He hits those far more often than he doesn't. The problem is when he doesn't, it sticks with us. Another reason, I think, we don't see him throw a bunch of slants and a bunch of crossers. We lived in an offense for his first 7 years that did not feature that. Everything is downfield. Everything is it's either a hitch or it's a comeback. It was never about crossing routes or about slants. For instance, last year, he threw 18% of his passes were hitch routes. That was number one in the league. And that's just the targets. That's not counting how many times it was actually run. 9% were slants. 9%. That was low. That was one of the lowest of all the top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League because our system it's not designed that way. So let's say you got a slant route designed to go there and you only draw it up 3 to 5 times a game, right? With no variations to it. If you miss one or if you miss two, and when I say miss, there are ridiculous expectations on these quarters, or at least on Dak. Like, Dak can't be off at all or people assume he's not accurate. I promise you. Watch other teams. Watch more football. Quarterbacks are not throwing pinpoint precision passes every single time. Hall of Famer Michael Irvin said, Troy Aikman, one of the most accurate passers of all time, did not need to hit me in the chest every single time, nor did he. I just need it in my area code. So back to the Dak and the crossing and slants. You don't see it often. You don't see it happen as much. I bet you, man, and I'm willing to stand on this. This year, that, in my opinion, tired argument will be put to bed because you're going to see this system be repetitive in it. You'll see him throw more slants. In fact, you might see that flip, bro. I don't know, it's going to go 18%, but you'll see slants go from 9% to 12 or 13. You'll see crossing routes ain't even on the list, bro. Crossing routes fall below 9% because we're not doing them often. You know, so more repetition in them. I think he'll get better in them. Although I think Dak can make all the throws. I'm one of those ones. I've seen it. I've studied the film. I'm not worried about Dak Prescott and his accuracy. I'm worried about Dak Prescott and finishing the damn game. Finish the damn game. That's what I'm worried about. So I don't think it's mechanics. I don't think there's or something else to it. I just think we remember what we want to, and it's usually the negative, right? So if he misses that, we're going to be like, see, he threw it behind CeeDee Lamb, and we forget, damn, he threw some darts and some lasers and some accurate passes on the move, but whatever, he's supposed to. So I think it's a psychological thing, man. Dak Prescott is more than accurate enough. In fact, last year on true accuracy, he finished number 3 in the league on true accuracy. No one's going to care, though. No one's going to care. His passes last year in regards to his interceptions, let me say this. Most of his picks had nothing to do with accuracy. They had nothing to do with it. They had to do with decision making, a dumb decision, throwing it out against Washington twice, right? Like, what are you doing? They had more to do with, I'm thinking you coming across the safety, you're going behind it. Pick. That ain't accuracy. I could probably count about 6 that had to do with dumb decision making, balls bouncing off dudes, and I'm reading one thing, you're reading the other, interception. More often than not, those are where the interceptions came from. Seriously, 15 picks, I'll say about 6 or 7 of them came from drop passes, bad decision making, and reading, not being on the same page with your wide receiver. Look it up. But there's this stigma that sticks with him the same way it's stuck with Tony, which I'm very surprised that's not the one we're going with right now. Tony's stigma was, you are a choke artist. You can't finish in the fourth quarter. You can't finish this game. Like, that was, once he fumbled, it never escaped him, even though he had a ton of fourth quarter comebacks all the way until the end of his career. Now the stigma that's sticking with Dak is, Dak Prescott's not accurate. Dak's not accurate. What are you watching to say that? Or is it what you're hearing and it's group thinking? You're just, hey, man, they say he ain't accurate. He ain't accurate. Or is it, I saw him throw that pick. He ain't accurate. Bro, I've seen some of the best quarterbacks in this league throw some of the, you'd be like, what the hell was that? But no one cares because they finishing. No one cares because they're aliens, right? And they're making some of these I missed the sack, so I'm running around. I'm making this highlight play. The majority of the time, they are throwing some balls that your receivers are bailing you out with because it's football. You ain't going to be perfect accuracy every single time. But no one cares about the 2 and 3 they missing. Dak has to be perfect. He has to. I'm telling you, bro. Watch. If Dak starts off 13 for 15, a touchdown or whatever, but he throws 2 incompletions, and one of those incompletions, Dak Prescott underthrew him. See? That play will get retweeted, will get talked about, will get broken down. No matter if Dallas wins or not, Dak's inaccurate. He threw 71% today, and he threw some darts. No, look, because that's what sticks with us. I promise you, go watch the rest of the league. I promise you, man. I promise you, quarterbacks are not perfect on these throws. I've watched some of the best in this league, and you like, woo. But you don't think about it because that's a good quarterback. It's football. He ain't going to be perfect. So I disagree with that, John. I think he's an accurate quarterback. I just think we have to see him finish, man. And I'm going to die on that hill. I'm not worried about Dak Prescott doing quarterback things. He can make all the throws. He can make the reads. I just need you to finish. And if I'm going to be honest, I want to see him take off more. Instead of trying to maybe force it on an option route or something, just pull it down and take off more. But my Q can do everything. Finish like you used to. I digress. All right, I think we got Sadiqa. Sadiqa, if this is you, I'm gonna need you to turn off your I'm gonna need you to. Oh boy. Yeah, can you turn down the show a little bit for me, Sadiqa?
I got the muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. It's good to hear from you, Miss Sadiqa. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Please excuse me, Sky, but I'm just aggravated right about now.
What got you aggravated?
This goddamn going chat room.
What they do, Sadiqa?
First of all, can they hear me?
Can y'all hear Sadiqa?
Okay, they can hear me.
I think they can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Let me say something to you people in the damn chat room. These brothers work hard for us. And your effort, you can't hit that damn like button. They ain't asking you to do anything else. That don't make no damn sense. It's every damn time. You come up in here, the same people come up in this room all the time. We're asking the same damn thing every damn time. That'll make you grown folks. Come on now, get it together.
Yeah.
Don't let that shit go jumping down. It should have been jumped the hell up.
Hit that. Y'all better hit that. Y'all better stop playing. Hit that like button. Sadiqa is not playing
Don't make
with
no
y'all.
damn sense. Come on now. You grown folks. I'm so sick of y'all doing this shit to these brothers up in here. They work hard for us.
Man, Mr. Sadiqa, I appreciate your support. Now I got you on the phone. Look, I don't want you to get your blood pressure raised up and upset.
No. First of all, that will never go up.
Got you. Let me give you your flowers for being such a great supporter and being here every day, like you have been over the last couple seasons. I thank you. I really do appreciate how much you've supported not just us, but this community in general.
And I thank Vouch, all of y'all for doing what y'all do for us.
Thank you.
Remind you, it's for us. Not just them, it's us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
I'm the hell on chat room. Put it together.
Y'all heard the lady. Thank you, Miss Sadiqa. Enjoy the rest of the show, okay?
Thank you. Oh, always. Thank you, Vouch. Oh, that's Vouch. Good Miss Guy. Thank you.
I'm Scott. Vouch is in the building, though. Shout out to Vouch Lombardi. My bro, we had a fantastic conversation / meeting yesterday. It's only up from here, man. Ooh, Miss Sadiqa not playing with y'all. Please do hit that like button because I'm scared now. I'm scared for y'all if y'all don't hit that like button. It is our virtual currency, as my bro would say. Good show today. We got our watch list. If you missed it, here's my full watch list. I want to see the depth wide receivers. I want to see some more production from them. I'll quickly run down the production from last year. Let me just tell you how bad it was. Tolbert, 6 receptions, 44 yards. Semi, 5 for 37. Turpin, 3 for 20. Houston, 2 for 16. Drummond, 3 for 38. That was last year's total preseason numbers for the wide receivers. I think a lot of that had to do with the scheme. A lot of that had to do with the quarterbacks not being good in it in the preseason and obviously being backups. This year, I expect Cooper Rush and Will Grier to be able to get them the ball more because this system isn't as complicated. Running back stable. I want to see all these dudes run in general, but who shows out their versatility? That's how you're going to be able to get on this roster and have a role on this roster, whether it be versatile on offense or versatile on offense and on special teams. I want to see the cornerback depth. These young guys have been stepping up. Eric Scott, Nashawn Wright, Deron Bland, they've been making some noise. Some of those that haven't, Kelvin Joseph, Miles Brooks, Josh Butler. Let's see them guys make noise. Then I want to see guys who've been quiet. I want to see them make some noise. The Viliami Fehokos, Devin Harpers, Darrell Johnsons, Isaiah Lands, like these guys. I want to see these guys make some noise. Brillo Cox, right? And then the kicker, the bonus one was Brandon Aubrey. I want to see Brandon Aubrey do well. Carry over that last day he had. Now they'll practice today, y'all. Let's see if he can carry that 11 for 11 day over today. And then that's where it happens for kickers, right? You'll get that confidence. You get that kind of swagger that I can go out there and make these kicks. So let's see if we can carry that over, man. With that said, I will not be on the volume later, but keep your ears and eyes open to see if Vouch will. I know he's got some things going on too, but Mom Dukes is in town. After the show, I'm going to go hang out with Mom Dukes and the fam. So you won't see me later, but I'll be back on here tomorrow. And tomorrow, Fan Friday, I'm going to drop the mailbag and we'll talk about all things Dallas Cowboys that is on your mind. That's on your mind. We got one more super chat or two more, three more, four more. Man, y'all killing it with this PC fun. Thank you, man. That came in. Let me read them real quick.
Super chat.
Dwayne Brown dropped one. 10. He said, "Great show, Sky, as usual. Thank you. Keep bringing us the real insight on our team." That's all I can do, man. That's all I can do. We ain't going John Cena here. And what I mean by that is, you know, the one dude who's on the TV, he said somebody was out there, but he really wasn't. We don't do that here. We're not going to do that. We give you the real.
Super chat.
Brother L dropped 2 and says, "Still looks like Sadiqa doesn't have a wrench." She don't got a wrench here? Nah. We can't do that. We can't do that. As I said this yesterday. I got you, Sadiqa. Here we go. I could have sworn she did. There we go. I got you, Miss Sadiqa. Thank you. Thank you so much. There we go. And then Lost in Translation dropped 10.
Super chat.
Says, "Scott, don't spend this money on your new PC. Spend it on your Ric Flair robe." Woo! I wish I could just do that, but nah. I need to get the PC so we can make sure this thing go crazy. And I'm already in my bag. I got it. I should be having it next week. I got things I'm about ready to turn up on from not just a production standpoint, but everything. on this show and Vaches. So we about to turn up for real. TC on the drums. He dropped 2
Super Chat.
Let's get rid of Josh Ball slush fund. I'm rooting for Josh Ball, man. We got to get Josh Ball to do something this week because I ain't got no confidence. None. 0. All right. With that said, I'm going to hit this button and go chill with Mom Dukes. Y'all better hit that button too. Now that y'all got the voice of Miss Sadiqa in y'all head, when she say hit that like button, y'all better hit that thing. Y'all better hit that thing. Appreciate y'all, man. Love you to death. Seriously. I'm out of here.